We have never seen this before. Sidney Crosby being honored in a brand new way. The Four Nations face-off kicks off tonight with Team Canada, and Sidney Crosby, Captain Canada, will be at the helm. This is something crazy that we get to talk about today. I'm so excited to be breaking this news to you guys. Something awesome happened yesterday, and today we get to watch Canada for the first time in this tournament, this brand new tournament that never existed before. But most importantly, what happened yesterday, and we're going to get right into it because I don't want to waste any time before we get to talk about that. First, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help us get to 1,100 subscribers. We just hit 1,000 last week. Let's get to 1,100 before the next video. Thank you guys so much for your support. And let's talk about Sidney Crosby, our captain on the Pittsburgh Penguins, but also the captain of Team Canada. Canada finding new ways to honor Sid the Kid. And now they have what is officially called the Sidney Crosby Trophy. The QMJHL announced yesterday that their Rookie of the Year trophy would be named after the great Sidney Crosby, and you can't really put into words what this means for Sid and for his legacy. Only the greatest players of all time have trophies named after them, and Sid was already in that discussion, but now he's even further cementing his legacy by being honored, and this is a testament to how great he really was in the QMJHL, and obviously continued to be great throughout his hockey career. Even in Pittsburgh, everything Sid has done has been excellence, has been greatness. And obviously the Rookie of the Year trophy being named after him, it just adds to the mantle at this point. Crosby was selected first overall in the 2003 QMJHL entry draft and put a lot of points on the scoreboard. I mean, he was playing for the Rimouski Oceanic. He scored 120 goals, 183 assists, 303 points in just 120 games, and then was selected by the Pittsburgh Penguins first overall in 2005. The rest was history. 3 Stanley Cups and a whole lot more puts Crosby in an elite conversation to begin with, but now the QMJHL making this major announcement. This is just awesome for hockey. This is awesome for Sid. The humility that Sid showed when he received this award. I watched the video and you just could tell he's such a humble guy, probably one of the most humble guys I've ever seen in professional sports. I mean, the way that he carries himself, and we'll have quotes later on in this video about that because Sid does carry himself a lot differently than any other player that I've ever seen. And head coach John Cooper for Team Canada had some thoughts about that. So we're going to talk about that later in the video. But right now, we just want to talk about Sid and what he's done for the game of hockey. I mean, this is truly a great honor for Sid to get. His legend is well documented, as it is. I mean, drafted by the Penguins first overall, 2005, 3 Stanley Cups, multiple MVP awards, scoring titles, and now he is 9th all-time in points with 1,654 and 19th all-time in goals with 609. He's also tied with Penguins legend Jaromir Jagr for 5th all-time in Stanley Cup playoffs points with 201. It couldn't have happened to a better guy, and QMJHL Commissioner Mario Cecchini had this to say about Sid. When the committee met, Crosby's name quickly became the unanimous choice. He has left such an important mark on the history of the Oceanic and the QMJHL, and you can see how proud he is of his time with us every time he talks about it. So that is just Sidney Crosby for you. The dude is on a different level, and when Sid talked about it, he said, "Some of my fondest memories of hockey come from my time in the QMJHL playing for the Oceanic. It is an absolute honor to have the league's Rookie of the Year trophy named after me." And humble as ever, he continues to stay humble throughout his entire career, has been one of the best players at every level that he has participated in, and has never once got big-headed or too cocky or had an ego whatsoever. The dude is just so even-keeled, and that's why other players love him so much and gravitate towards him. He just plays the game the right way, and the way that he carries himself is just such a good role model for kids coming up, including myself when I started playing hockey. Sidney Crosby, a true inspiration. As we talk about Brooks Orpik, former Penguin, this is what he said about Sidney Crosby. "I'd always marvel. I mean, he's 7 years younger than me. I would always tell people that, and I wasn't embarrassed to tell people that. There are a lot of things I learned from him, just watching the way he would handle certain situations. Like, there are a lot of people who might think they work hard in practice on a consistent basis. All of a sudden, if you're around him for a little bit, I think you probably reassess what you think working hard in practice is." And that was him from a very young age. Orpik continued on to say, "You always hear some people who are like, oh, the puck always finds that guy in big moments. Well, if it always does, then it's not by luck. He's obviously putting himself in good spots. Also, there there are some people who are afraid of those moments, and then some people who want to be the star in those moments, and that's definitely how Sid is. He's not afraid of failing or making a mistake. He wants to make a play in that moment. That's what separates a lot of great players from good players. And we talk about like Wayne Gretzky, for example, how he would just have the anticipation and the hockey IQ to find the puck and be in the position where the puck is going to be instead of where it is. And that's what Sidney Crosby has as well. Only the truly greatest players of all time have that attribute, and Sid is one of them. And it's just unbelievable that we've gotten to watch him his entire career with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hopefully he retires a Penguin as well. But one thing that's really important to Sid right now is the Four Nations face-off and getting a chance to represent his country, Team Canada, something that he has not had an opportunity to do for a very long time. For various reasons, we haven't had a true best-on-best tournament for an extremely long time. It is very overdue, and that is what makes this Four Nations face-off so special. Everybody wants to talk down about this tournament and what it means, but Captain Canada and the Canadians are not taking this lightly. This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience for some players. For Sid, he's been lucky enough to play for Team Canada quite a bit. It's just been a leeway since he's been 29 years old. He hasn't played for Team Canada, so it's been a really long time and long overdue, like I said, but Sidney Crosby comes in undefeated as playing for Team Canada. They have never lost with Sidney Crosby in the lineup, and that is something truly special as well. That is something that not many players can say, that they have never lost a game when they don that sweater. So let's hear from Jon Cooper and what he had to say about Sidney Crosby and his humility, because that's something we were just talking about, but it carries over into every level that he plays in. There's just so much humility that bleeds through him, and that's why people follow him. Talk about wanting to play for your country. It's remarkable, the passion he has for it, and it's probably the reason why he has a whole lot of wins and not a whole lot of losses when he plays in these events. And that's a really good point by head coach Jon Cooper. I mean, Sidney Crosby is just built different, and the fact that he's undefeated in international play speaks volumes. But also, Nathan MacKinnon talks about the pressure that's put on this team by fans and media. Colorado Avalanche superstar Nathan MacKinnon, playing alongside fellow Nova Scotian Sidney Crosby on the team's second line. I think pressure is a privilege, and I'm glad there's pressure, MacKinnon admitted. It means people expect a lot of us. We're maybe an inspiration to some young kids around the country. If I was 10 years old right now, I'd be tuned into this tournament. So definitely excited. And every player has kind of echoed that sentiment, as Drew Doughty was asked about it as well. Obviously, as Canadians, the players feel the same way as the fans. We expect to win, and we're not going to be satisfied with anything but a championship. And when you have a lineup like this, I don't think you're getting out of your lane by saying something like that. This team is absolutely loaded, and I'm not going to bore you guys with that too much because we did talk about it in a previous video, but just showing you this line, the lineup combinations for Team Canada, what Jon Cooper had to work with is just truly spectacular. I mean, watching this team on display is better than an all-star team, in my opinion. This is a ridiculously uber-talented hockey club led by the greatest player of our generation, Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, a generational talent, Nathan MacKinnon, a generational talent, and the list goes on. It is an unbelievable team that we're going to have the privilege of watching. And for people to say, oh, they're exhibition games, they don't matter, I think that is crazy, because this is something that these players have really looked forward to, and a lot of the younger players haven't had the opportunity to play for their home countries yet. So this is something they haven't had an experience in yet, and especially with Team USA, they have a very young team. Guys are up and coming. But with Canada, these guys have been there, done that. Crosby, Doughty, Marchand, they were all here before. Most of the rest of the team was not. This is the first time that McDavid and MacKinnon are getting this opportunity. So it's so important for these players that are in the prime of their careers getting to don that maple leaf on their sweater. And let's talk more about Crosby, because former Penguins assistant coach Rick Tocchet had some really good things to say. He is a Canadian assistant coach for this tournament, and when they asked him about Sid, how many more years is he going to play? He could play into his 40s. He takes care of himself. His hockey IQ, it's outstanding. And one thing people don't understand is that Sid doesn't cheat. He plays a 200-foot game. If he really wanted to, and I keep telling people this, Sid could play another 5 years. And that's not really a stretch to think about, because Sidney Crosby, again, you think about other athletes that take care of their bodies, and, you know, people will make the argument LeBron James in the NBA. That's Sidney Crosby in the NHL. He's about to finish off yet another season with a point per game if he plays at this pace that he's playing at right now for the Penguins, and break Wayne Gretzky's record for most point per game seasons, and he's doing it consecutively. It's just unbelievable what this guy has done over the course of his career. He's getting a trophy named after him. He's undefeated in international play, and he's putting that to the test again tonight, for Team Canada, and I'm so excited for this tournament, guys. It literally doesn't get any better than this, especially as Penguins fans. We see what Crosby means to Canada, and right now, we have 3 players that are playing in this game tonight. We have Rakell and Erik Karlsson representing Team Sweden, and then Sidney Crosby leading Team Canada. And then Mike Sullivan's coaching Team USA tomorrow with former Penguin Jake Guentzel. So it's really cool to see the Penguins represented in a big way in this tournament. And Sidney Crosby versus Karlsson and Rakell is going to be really fun to watch tonight. I hope you guys are tuning into the game. We're not going to do like a full preview. I just think the most important part is those 3 guys that you see on your screen right there. They look really good in those uniforms. I know they look better in black and gold, but it's really cool to see our boys go out there and perform for their country against each other like an all-star format, basically. We got round robin play. We already kind of explained that. Teams are going to get 3 points for a regulation win, 2 points for a overtime win, 1 point for an overtime/shootout loss, and then 0 points for a regulation loss. The top 2 teams at the end of round robin play will compete for the championship on the 20th, I believe. And Sidney Crosby looking to lead Canada to that championship game. Undefeated so far as a Canadian player in international play, looking to put that on the line yet again. And that's the problem when you're undefeated. Everybody's coming for you, right? I've seen people say in media outlets that USA is favored, and then I just saw today Canada's favored. So you never know. It's really a coin flip with these teams, but I don't think we're going to be upset either way, right? Penguins Digest. As an American, obviously, I would like to see USA do well, but also, how can you root against Sidney Crosby as a Penguins fan? So I'm fine with anything. I'm going to stay completely neutral throughout this entire tournament. I love Team Sweden. We got Rakell and Karlsson representing. Obviously, Sidney Crosby with Canada, Mike Sullivan for Team USA coaching, former Penguins all over the place. You got Jake Guentzel on Team USA. You got Olli Maatta on Team Finland. I mean, we got them all over the place. So it's really fun, and I'm excited. And I think we should just go into this wanting to see really good hockey, really good competitive hockey. Let's not look at it as an exhibition. Let's not look at it as meaningless games that we wish were not played. I'm definitely embracing this tournament. I'm a big fan of it already, just seeing how everything is laid out and how this is going to take a little bit out of the NHL season and give us a little break. Give us something different. We get to see Crosby skating around in a Canada sweater. It's never a bad sight to see, especially for you Canadian fans out there. Thank you for your support on the channel. American and Canadian fans alike, hit that sub button and we'll keep you up to date throughout the Four Nations face-off, especially on our Penguins players. So thank you guys so much for watching this video here today. And we'll have another video tomorrow about Team USA and Mike Sullivan. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Penguins Digest.